Hi, thanks for joining. In this video, we will walk through the Schedule Jobs feature and learn how to schedule jobs in a few simple steps. So let's begin. First, to access the Schedule Jobs page, users will need to access the Manage tab. If you don't see this tab, please request access from your platform admin. When we enter the Schedule Jobs, we can see three main tabs. The first one is Jobs, where in the table below, we can see the information of current jobs that are scheduled with the name, type, the knowledge graph and data source it's using, the user who set it, the next schedule when it will run, and the refresh interval if set with cron syntax. Finally, on the right of the table, there are three action buttons: the play button, which runs the job instantly, the pencil button for editing it, and the trash can for deleting it. Above the table, we have filtering options allowing us to filter by users, knowledge graphs, name, and type. At the top right corner, we can click on Search to refresh the list or apply filters. Lastly, we can click on Create Job to set up a new one, which we will get into in a minute. The next tab is Jobs History, where you can review past scheduled jobs. Here too, you can set different filtering options to load the desired ones. By default, there's a filter showing jobs that ran in the last 28 days. Below the filters, we get details of each, and when clicking on the Job History button, a window appears showing the previous runs. Finally, on the right of each row, we can click the play button to rerun the job. The third tab is Running Jobs, which shows us the information and status of scheduled jobs that are currently running. Since I'm not running anything at the moment, this tab is empty, but we'll get back to it after we set up our first job together. So let's go back to the Jobs tab and click Create Job to set up a new one in Timbr. Here, there are three main steps. The first step is Job Information. It begins with choosing the type, either cache or custom. Custom refers to any SQL operation unrelated to caching, including Timbr actions like show concepts, refresh ontology, and others when relevant. In this example, we'll stick to the cache option. We'll start by setting the name, so let's call it Demo Job. Next, we'll select the relevant ontology. In our case, we'll choose Supply Operations. Below that, we'll select the data source. Let's choose MySQL. In cases where we want to cache from multiple sources, we'll choose virtualization to run the task. Next, we choose the resource type to cache, either a mapping or a view, and Timbr will present the available options. Once we've filled in the information, we'll click Next. The second step is to define the job type. Here, Timbr checks whether it's a new cache for the chosen resource, or if a cache already exists, we can update it. In our example, we'll click New Cache Job. Here, we'll choose the data source and schema where we want to store the cache. If configured, users can choose to cache to a data lake, SSDs, or to the in-memory tier for real-time performance. Another key feature is partitioning the cache by a specific column if supported by the data source, and setting incremental updates when relevant. This is a very useful feature to have when dealing with big tables and large amounts of data, so we can apply incremental refresh of the cache instead of caching the entire data each time. Once we're done selecting the data source, schema, and partition columns when relevant, we'll click on Save and move to the final step. Here, we will define the job reoccurrence. The first box is Job Retry. In cases of failure when running, we can define how many times Timbr should retry to run. For example, setting it to 3 will retry 3 times. Beneath the retry setting is Job Retry Interval, where we define the wait time in seconds between retries. So for example, to set 60-second intervals between each retry, we will simply type 60. If the interval is set to 0, Timbr will retry immediately. Finally, below that is the reoccurrence interval. The options here are pretty straightforward. None when we don't need a refresh, usually for tables that don't get updated with new data. Daily, monthly, and yearly refer to the exact time we're executing just on a daily, monthly, or yearly interval. And custom, which allows us to set typical cron options. On the left, we have the minutes dropdown, where we can choose any minute within the range of 0 to 59. Next, we have the hours, where we can select within a range of 0 to 23. To the right of that, we can choose if we want the refresh to run on a specific day of the month within a range of 1 to 31. Next to it, we can select a specific month to run on, and at the end, we can also choose a specific day of the week regardless of the numeric date on that day. So let's set a schedule to run at 11 p.m. UTC every Saturday. After selecting the times, above we can see the cron value and also the refresh interval time in UTC. Once we're ready, we'll click on Save, which will give us a summary asking us to confirm that all the settings are correct. Let's confirm and save what we've scheduled. To see it in action, let's click on the play button for the job we just created and go to the Running Jobs tab. We can now see that Timbr is running the job, and in a few seconds it'll disappear from this tab and we can see the information under the Jobs History tab. And there you have it. You can now start caching your data to improve performance and avoid on-the-fly calculations that can be costly or heavy on your databases. I hope you enjoyed this video. I invite you to take a look at our YouTube channel where you can find a wide variety of tutorial videos for every feature on the Timbr platform. We'll see you in our next videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day.